Hello again, and welcome to the next video in the Iron Man Mark 48, Mark 50 Infinity War suit video series. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's done more or less. There's a few more attachments I want to build for it, but effectively it's done. And I say that unfortunately because obviously I didn't make any videos in between the last one and this one. It's just the way my schedule was with working on this suit. It was almost impossible it was next to impossible to do any videos on it. So I couldn't really cover how I was building it. So what I'll do now is go over all the things that I did to it while I was building it. Really, like the construction of it is fairly straightforward. It's just cut the foam pieces out, glue them together, and then paint them. That's really 90% of what I did. I'm just going to go over the very selected things that I did throughout the suit. For example, this is the right forearm. I haven't finished the right glove yet. That's one of the things that I want to do. Basically, I've made a giant Hot Toys figure suit. It's going to have all the accessories to go with it, just like the Hot Toys figure. So that's one of the things that leads me to this. The reason I don't have the right hand finished. I didn't need the right hand because on my right hand I was wearing the big crab claw weapon. So the idea here is that one was originally meant to be able to be worn right or left. For New York Comic Con, I wore it on the right hand the whole time, so I didn't need my right hand forearm and glove. So that's what is going to be working on next. Along with that is probably both of the swords. He's got one that's a double-edged light blade, kind of like the Halo sword. And then the other one is like a back of the hand blade. That's the one that Tony gets stabbed with in the movie. Spoiler alert. Which I probably should have said before I said what I said. But anyway. Yeah, so those two swords, and then finally the big shield that he has in the beginning of the movie. I'm going to do that. There is a round shield at one point he has, but that's a little too Captain America, so I think I'm just going to keep with the big one. That's pretty straightforward. I'll be able to do that with mostly just like one sheet of the big foam. So that's what I'm going to have there. Now, to jump back into where we left off, what I talked about in the first couple of videos is the fact that I specifically made the chest piece so that it can come off. And like I said in those videos, or in the early videos, the reason was so that I can easily access the battery packs for the lights. So I could turn those on or turn them off, change the batteries. That's the main reason is to be able to access the batteries. Same with the batteries in the rest of the torso. If I flip those on, those are the back lights, then these are the front. Easy to get at the torso lights, turn them on and off. Just that was the whole point of that, is so that I didn't have to take, because the arms connect to this portion. If I didn't do this, then I would have to take this whole thing off or put some kind of access port or something so that I could get to those batteries and whatnot. Far easier to do this than to build the recharging circuits for rechargeable battery packs and put those in. I think I calculated those weren't going to last nearly as long. There's not a whole lot of light connected to these, so these are going to last, I think the math is like 50 hours or something like that. I haven't changed these yet since I put them on there sometime in like August. So they've been on and off constantly, and they're still, those are the backlights again, they're still running strong. I mean, there's only 2 bulbs going off of these, and these are these lights, they're not really bulbs. I don't have one left over to show you, but they're flat plexiglass, short pieces of flat plexiglass with a lens on either side to make the white light. So that's how they work, and it's just 2 on each circuit. So effectively, I don't think I'm going to have to change those batteries for quite some time. Like I said, it's a lot. That's actually a lot simpler than doing the rechargeable circuits for that particular aspect anyway. Now, the other big thing is the crab claw. I did some images of this on my Instagram while I was making it. Obviously, this is complete and whatnot, but now I don't have the battery pack installed for the center light. The only thing that's on right now is just these 12 volt lights, and they're set on a tilt switch so that when I bring my arm down, they all turn off. Bring it up, they all come back on. That's really the epitome there, but the big thing about this is inside there is actually a pistol grip handle, and that's what I'm holding on to right now. And that pistol grip has the button that activates the light inside this barrel, and there's also a potentiometer knob in here that I can activate, or I can work with my thumb up and down so that I can turn the brightness on this barrel light up or down. So it makes controlling that a lot easier. Also, the big secret is the RF transmitter for the helmet, which activates that, is buried inside here, and there's also a button on the lower portion of the handle to control that. So without anybody knowing, I can press that and close the helmet, and the light, or the lights and everything on the helmet work. Press it again and it opens up. Now I'm kind of moving my hand as I'm pressing it, but I can do it really secretively and work it, and nobody really notices. Especially when you're posing, stuff like that, you can really move it around and nobody's the wiser. So that's the big secret with this. That's what made this really effective. Now I won't be able to control the big barrel light as well with my left hand, but I can have it on my left hand. A little bit more of my elbow is exposed, but that's not a huge deal if it's mainly like for photos and stuff. Just because of the what's inside here, I had to have the handle kind of offset. It's not exact center, so I can't exactly wear this on either hand because it gets kind of tight around that hand, but I can still activate the helmet wearing it on my left hand. So it is, this thing is ambidextrous, I guess. Can be done with either hand, and that will make a good reason for me to finish the right hand forearm and glove so that I can wear this on the left hand, do different kinds of picture variations and stuff like that. In the actual movie, I know the Hot Toys figure has this on his right hand, but in the actual movie, the scene where he has this, he brings it up and aims it at Drax when Drax is down on the ground under his feet, and he points it at him with his left hand. So this technically should be on the left hand, but I made it so that I can wear it on either one. Now what I'm going to do, I'll close that helmet real quick. There we go. Now, like I said, the transmitter for the helmet is inside there. The receiver is inside the helmet. All the electronics for the helmet are self-contained inside the helmet. You could see when the helmet closed, the eyes slowly faded on. That's all part of the same sequence. So that I'm going to cover the helmet in a separate video. That'll come after this one. But back to the suit as a whole. If I jump down to the left hand or the left forearm, which is what I have here, this, I could throw this on real quick. This was my left hand at the Comic-Con, and I have this, mini barrel gun on it. The light I have in it is, it's a couple of white LEDs and then a flicker wheel. It just kind of, I don't have it on right now, but if it were, you would see lights inside and they would be slowly flickering, and that was kind of give it kind of like almost like a Gatling gun kind of feel. It has like a old school projector kind of feel to it, but it's a very simple thing. It's just basically an LED flashlight with a little wheel in front of it that spins. But this is also modular. There's magnets on the front and then a little hook on the back, and it can come right off, and I can just wear the forearm. So the idea here is, again, to be a lot like the Hot Toys figure, where I can put all these things on different sides, different parts of me, wear something, not wear it, whatever I want to do. But what I'm going to do with the left arm is the big shield that I was talking about. That will have the same magnets and hook system on it, so that when I'm not wearing this, if I want to wear the shield, I can put the shield on the same part. Excuse me, I'm a little stuffed, but I can put the shield on the same side and throw it up, and it'll look just like in the movies, hopefully. But it should look pretty cool, and it should be pretty well, latched onto my forearm if I do it that way. It's going to be kind of awkward to hold because it's a big thing, but it'll probably be only for a few photos or something like that. I wouldn't wear that like walking around a convention or something. It's far too big. Well, the size I'm going to make it's going to be far too big, but it'll come off same way. I think I might put magnets to correspond with the right forearm, because again, that'll fit same way. It's symmetrical side to side, so it should work on either side. So I'll probably end up doing that just so I can put it on whichever way I like. Put that down. This is a little bit tight around the hand, so take that off. Toss that down. Trying to think of what else to cover. There are lights, the same LEDs in the lower torso and in the legs and in the biceps. I'll pull those off. It's the same thing. It's a LED backlight from Arduino, or Adafruit, I should say. But each bicep has its own circuit and batteries. Same with the thighs; they're on their own. That way, I don't have wires, barnacles. I don't have wires like flowing, connecting, between my limbs and stuff. Everything is contained in its own portion of the suit. So it makes it a lot easier to put on and whatnot, because you're not trying to put on a part, connect wires, put on a part, connect wires, which is what I've done in the past. I've had wires connecting the glove to the forearm with controls in there, and I might still do that to go back to the wireless controls for the helmet being in here. I might make another transmitter and put it in this, and then put the button inside the glove of the right hand. But ideally, the idea behind having the right hand on, what I'll be doing at that point is I'll actually another thing I'm going to make is the half neck, which only comes up like a little bit, and it's kind of like a low collar, like a half collar. So I'll be redoing the neck so that it's like that, so that I can, I don't necessarily have to wear the helmet with that setup. I'll just be wearing the half neck. And if I'm not wearing the helmet, then I don't need the controls for the helmet, so I don't necessarily need to put the controls in here or in the glove and all that. So things, I'm still weighing options on what I'm going to do. I think that will probably be the boat that I'll get in, is not make a separate set of controls and just make the half neck. And if I'm wearing the right arm, odds are I'm not wearing the helmet. That'll be like my walk around model. So the next bit I'll talk about, or the last bit I'll talk about in this video, is the back. On the back of this, I made the wings. These were sculpted, or these were hand-drawn patterns. I didn't use any like Pepakura for these, so these were of my own build. Kind of, obviously I modeled them off of the Hot Toys figure, but the way that these work is there's a short rod on one side, and then 3 magnets, and on the back of the suit there's those corresponding magnets, and then a styrene straw that this rod goes in. So to add these wings on, it just goes, the little wire goes down into the straw, and then the magnets attach to each other, and that's it. I walk around like that. They wobble a little bit, but the wire keeps them up against gravity, and the magnet keeps it right aligned. So even if I wag it back and forth, the wire would keep it on there, and then the strength of the magnets would pull it back. I walked around quite a bit with those on there like that at New York, so works pretty effective. That's pretty much all there is to that. I can go over the wings a little bit more detail in another video, and I probably will, but again, the wings have their own circuit going on. When I made the wings, these are actually 3 different layers of foam. There's a 10 mil layer here, 10 mil layer here, and then a 6 mil layer in the middle, and then like parts like this that I have sticking out. These are 3 layers of the 10 mil foam, and when I cut the middle layer, I cut out a section and I put a plastic tube inside so that it actually goes to this section here, which is the light. So down here I have the battery pack, and I can turn those on with an on-off switch down there, and the wires are run through. They have their own little conduit inside, and they stick off my back and light everything up. Pretty simple setup, ingenious, if I must say. I don't have to, but I did. But yeah, that's all there is to those. The rest of the suit is pretty much the same that I've done in the past. The shins, actually, to wear those Velcro to the undersuit, right on the front of the undersuit. There's just Velcro connecting it. Trying to think if I did anything else differently. The thighs, they're buckled and elastic strapped to the ab section. These are all elastic. I covered those in an earlier video. Let's see. Let's go over. I know I said, or I think I said the wings would be the last thing I'd cover, but I'll cover the shoes in this video as well. The shoes are actually three pieces. There's a heel, a toe, and a tongue. Now the tongue is attached to the toe and the heel with elastic straps. So like as I'm walking, this has freedom of movement. It can, stretch and give and all that. And as I'm bending my ankle and whatnot, going upstairs or whatever, that has, some forgiveness, so it's not cracking or tearing the foam. Same with separating the heel from the toe. Even though it's like right here towards the back of the foot, that prevented a huge amount of cracking. There's literally no cracking in the foam or the paint throughout the entire both feet. So this was a really effective way to do the feet. They're made out of the thinner 2mm foam, just to keep the size down, because I built these over a pair of Adidas sneakers. Now the sneakers are a pretty small shoe, like well-fitted shoe, but even then, if I made the shoe if I made the boot cover out of the thicker foam, obviously it would increase the boot size and it would look a little bit weird. So the shoes being on the ground, farthest away from the eye, I tend to go with the smaller foam just to keep the size down, and because it's the farthest from the eye, you don't really notice that as easily, I should say. But the other thing to the shoes is I've sticking with my design of gluing an elastic band all the way around the base of the shoe, but gluing it only every 3 to 4 inches. So on this shoe, it's glued. The elastic is glued here, right here, and right here, and it's loose right here, and that's where it's glued to the foam pieces. So as I bend my foot in the shoe, that elastic has some space to move. It works as like a shock absorber to the foam. So that's what prevents the foam from getting destroyed or falling off of the shoe, which is what has happened to me in the past. The first time I ever made an Ironman boot, I hot glued the foam directly to the shoe, which after a few short hours, that completely came off of the shoe and it was loose. It wasn't a huge issue because I kind of designed it that way. If it's going to come off, I'd rather it come off nice and clean. So that's the way I did that. If I use like contact cement or something, because it wanted to come off of the shoe so much, it probably would have torn the foam. The second pair of boots that I ever made, I did firmly glue them to the shoe, and they did tear and wrinkle and all that. So after that, I went to the elastic method and the method of gluing it every few inches and separating the parts where I glue it from the foam to the elastic is like 1.5 to 2 inches away from where I glue the elastic to the shoe. That's that buffer zone. So I'm going to stick with this method. This shoe is immaculate compared to any of the other boots that I've worn for an extensive amount of time at a convention. And these were worn like half the day at New York, and there's very little wear and tear. There's only right on the toe, and that's probably from walking down the sidewalks. That's the most abrasive part of the, it's concrete, it's very abrasive, so that's not a huge issue right there. Anyway, it's, the bottom of the shoe, you don't ever see that. So that's the last thing I'll cover for right now on this. I'll cover some other parts more extensively in some other videos, but I just wanted to give the rundown of the finished suit and some highlights of it. But thanks for watching. See you in the next video.